Rex Ryan, the former NFL coach and professional loudmouth, accused Shedeur Sanders of being lazy, lacking work ethic, and somehow being an embarrassment to the sport. Bold claims for a guy who hasn't coached a winning team in over a decade. But here's the kicker. None of what he said was true. Not a little exaggerated. Not partially misinformed. Flat out, publicly, undeniably false.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Behind-the-scenes footage swiftly surfaced, showing Sanders front and center in team meetings, locked in with coaches and veterans, and poring over game plans like someone gunning for a PhD in football. The narrative Ryan pushed unraveled instantly, like a bad play call exposed mid-snap. And now, according to insiders, the NFL itself isn't thrilled. Not with Sanders, but with Rex. Because when you're actively spreading false narratives about one of the league's most visible future prospects, that's not just bad PR, that's bad for business. The league might not love Shedeur Sanders' confidence, but they sure don't want analysts lying about players on national platforms. Ryan's rant was a relic of an older era, a time when coaches could tear down young players for showboating or not acting humble enough. His attack wasn't just wrong. It exposed how deeply some NFL traditionalists still cling to outdated notions of how players should behave. And in calling out Shedeur, Ryan didn't just sound bitter. He sounded threatened. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't playing by the old rules. Son of NFL legend Deion Sanders, Shedeur has inherited more than talent. He's inherited a legacy of unapologetic excellence. He shows up early, studies hard, plays smart, and still has the audacity to be confident about it. To old-school minds like Rex Ryan, that's sacrilege. But in today's NFL, where branding and visibility can shape a career as much as a playbook, confidence isn't arrogance, it's currency. So why did Rex Ryan go after Shedeur with such venom? Maybe it was jealousy. Maybe it was discomfort with a new kind of player. Or maybe he just couldn't resist an easy target who dares to believe in himself out loud. But what he didn't count on was the receipts. The cold, hard video evidence proving Shedeur Sanders isn't lazy, he's just not afraid to be visible while grinding. And the league? They're watching closely. Because when false narratives start to threaten real reputations, even the old guard has to face the whistle. So the NFL is rattled. Again. But this time it's not over a blown call or a controversial trade. It's over Rex Ryan, yes, that Rex Ryan, deciding to throw Shedeur Sanders under the bus based on, well, absolutely nothing. Rex Ryan went on national television and accused Shedeur of being lazy, unmotivated, and straight-up embarrassing. Like, not just questioning his skills or potential, he attacked the man's character. Claimed Shedeur didn't have the work ethic, wasn't doing the behind-the-scenes grind, and didn't carry himself like someone worthy of the NFL. And for a minute, people believed him. Because it was Rex Ryan. Loud, opinionated, old-school Rex Ryan. But then the receipts came out, and they were brutal. Behind-the-scenes footage surfaced showing Shedeur in team meetings, front row with coaches and veterans, focused, engaged, locked in. Watching tape. Studying game plans. Doing exactly what Ryan said he wasn't doing. So yeah, it blew up. Not only was Rex Ryan wrong, he was flat out inventing a narrative. And the NFL? They weren't thrilled. Word is, the league privately made it clear to Ryan and others in media circles. Quit spreading baseless garbage about rising talent. Especially when it's so obviously untrue. Because here's the thing, they weren't just attacking Shedeur Sanders the player. They were going after Shedeur Sanders the idea. The unapologetically confident, camera-ready, highly branded Gen Z quarterback who's refusing to dim his light for anyone. And that scares the hell out of the NFL old guard. See, the league has always had a code. Be humble. Put your head down. Wait your turn. And above all, don't act like you're a star until the system says you are. And if you do act like it, you better be Tom Brady level untouchable or they'll come for you. Shedeur's whole presence flies in the face of that. He's got the confidence of a 10-year vet, the media game of a seasoned influencer, and the last name of a Hall of Famer. And the NFL, especially people like Rex Ryan, hate that. Because they don't control it. They can't shape the narrative when someone like Shedeur builds his own. But here's what makes this whole thing extra messy. He's earned it. The work ethic is there. The discipline is there. And the footage proves it. So the criticism? It's not just outdated, it's fake. Let's be honest, this wasn't just a hot take. This was a hit piece dressed up as old-school wisdom. Rex Ryan wanted to be the tough-love football guy telling the next generation to respect the game. But instead he told a flat-out lie. And now he's the one looking ridiculous. the NFL found itself in a bind. They've built an empire off confident, charismatic players who sell jerseys and headlines. But they still want those same players to act like obedient rookies behind the scenes. And Shedeur? He's not playing along. He's building a brand and a career. And he's not hiding either. Let's call it what it is, a generational collision. The NFL wants humility. Gen Z wants authenticity. Shedeur is all about self-belief and strategy. He's marketing himself, shaping his legacy, and yes, doing the damn work while he's at it. But because he's not asking for permission to shine, guys like Rex Ryan think he needs to be humbled. It's wild that in 2025, being confident and strategic about your image is still seen as a red flag in pro sports. Shedeur knows the game on and off the field. He's not just prepping for a career, he's building an empire. And if that threatens people, that's their problem. And let's not pretend this all happened in a vacuum. This is Deion Sanders' son. Primetime 2.0. That DNA doesn't come with a mute button. Deion was dragged for being flashy, cocky, too confident. And guess what? He backed it all up with Hall of Fame numbers. Now Shedeur's doing the same, and the same types of critics are crawling out of the woodwork. This entire scandal exposes the NFL's chronic discomfort with personality. They say they want marketable stars. They say they want leaders. But when those stars don't conform, when they don't dim their shine to appease old-school sensibilities, they get labeled problematic. And Shedeur isn't alone. The league has a history of punishing players who step out of line publicly, even when those same qualities, confidence, presence, charisma, are exactly what the NFL profits from. The system says it wants individuals, but only if those individuals follow the script. This wasn't about football. This was about control. Rex Ryan's rant wasn't about Shedeur's hustle, it was about his audacity. How dare a young player act like he belongs before being granted approval by the gatekeepers? And let's be real, the NFL still rewards the obedient. The guys who keep quiet, don't rock the boat, and only show personality during sponsor-friendly post-game interviews. But Shedeur? He's skipping all that. He's building his identity now. And it's working. He's active on social. He's curating his image. He's aware of the cameras and he's using them. Not for attention but for leverage. Branding isn't a side hustle anymore, it's part of the job. And Shedeur is ahead of the curve. The funny part? The backlash is proof it's working. The louder the critics get, the clearer it becomes. He's threatening the status quo. And he knows it. That confidence isn't ego, it's strategy. It's legacy. He grew up watching his dad master the art of being both elite and entertaining. Why wouldn't he do the same? And here's what makes this whole Rex Ryan episode so rich. The proof already existed. The footage was there. Shedeur had already put in the work. Ryan just chose not to look, or worse, ignored it to push a narrative. The fallout was immediate. Not just from fans calling it out, but reportedly from the NFL itself. The league's got enough PR fires to put out. They don't need former coaches inventing scandals about their most hyped young stars. Especially when the narrative collapses under a single replay. So Rex got the quiet tap on the shoulder. The subtle, maybe chill before you tank your own credibility message. Because this wasn't just a bad take, it was reckless. And the NFL knows that if they keep allowing these false narratives, they'll drive away the exact audience they're trying to reach. And let's not pretend this isn't also about race, power, and perception. Outspoken black quarterbacks have always gotten extra scrutiny. Confidence becomes arrogance. Branding becomes selfishness. And being unapologetic becomes disrespectful. It's the same coded language, the same playbook, only the faces change. Shedeur is rewriting that script, and he's not asking for permission to do it. He's betting on himself, loudly. And he has every right to. Now the question is, should he tone it down? Play the game, stay quiet, and let the performance speak for itself? Honestly, why should he? When someone is both talented and working hard and building their own platform, why should they pretend otherwise just to make Rex Ryan comfortable? In 2025, that kind of confidence isn't a risk, it's a requirement. You need it to stand out. You need it to survive. And you definitely need it to thrive in a system that doesn't always have your back. This whole saga isn't just about Shedeur Sanders. It's about the future of the NFL. A league where authenticity, not just ability, is becoming the new currency. Where players are no longer waiting to be told who they are, they're deciding it for themselves. And that's terrifying for the old guard. So let Rex Ryan rant. Let the critics cry. The receipts don't lie. Shedeur's already proven he's doing the work. The confidence isn't a mask, it's earned. And if that's too much for traditionalists to handle, maybe they're the ones who don't belong in the new NFL. Because like it or not, the league is changing. The era of silent stars and obedient rookies is fading. And players like Shedeur Sanders? They're not just participating, they're leading the charge. So what do you think? Is the NFL ready for a new kind of star, or is the old guard still clinging to outdated ideas of what greatness should look like? Drop your thoughts in the comments, subscribe if you're into unfiltered breakdowns of sports drama, and hit that notification bell so you never miss the next meltdown. Because one thing's for sure, in today's NFL, staying quiet won't save you, but showing up loud, proud, and ready to back it up just might. Now, if this whole thing had been a one-time blunder, Rex Ryan shooting off a bad take and backing down when proven wrong, it could have ended there. But nope. The fact that the NFL had to intervene behind the scenes? That says everything. Because when the league starts nudging former insiders to sit down and stop talking, it means they see real damage control brewing. This wasn't just a media moment gone wrong. This was about protecting a narrative. And the NFL, for all its "we love our players" messaging, is very particular about which players get that love. You think it's a coincidence that someone like Shedeur, who isn't just talented but visible, gets called out the second he steps outside the grateful rookie box? Nah. That's the system doing what it always does, policing who gets to be confident and when. And the cherry on top? While Rex Ryan was out here slandering Shedeur over phantom laziness, actual footage was circulating of the guy sitting front and center in team meetings, notebook open, fully dialed in, next to coaches, next to veterans. This wasn't just he showed up. This was he setting the tone. So what exactly was Rex talking about? That's the part that really burns. Because there was nothing. No missed practices, no viral moment of disinterest, no coach leaks, nothing that could even be misinterpreted. It was pure projection. And that's why it hit so hard when the truth came out. Because people like Rex don't just dislike confidence. They fear what it represents. It challenges the hierarchy. It refuses to beg for acceptance. And that shakes up their whole identity. Let's be honest. Rex Ryan is old-school football culture personified. Swagger only if you've earned a Super Bowl ring. Fall in line. Be the underdog. And if you're not that, then you're arrogant. You're spoiled. You're everything the system wants to weed out. But Shedeur? He was born into football royalty. Raised by a legend. Trained by someone who knows exactly how this league operates and, more importantly, how to beat it. That's a problem for people like Rex who spent decades working their way through that same machine. Because what happens when someone skips the line, and deserves to? Let's not downplay it. Shedeur didn't just inherit a name. He inherited a playbook for breaking the rules. Deion Sanders was never the humble, quiet type. He was prime time. He didn't ask for the spotlight, he was the spotlight. And he didn't apologize for it either. So naturally his son learned the same mindset. Confidence isn't a mask, it's the uniform. But the NFL still hasn't caught up to that reality. They want stars but only if they can control the script. They want charisma but only in safe doses. And above all, they want you to pretend like none of it matters more than the team. Spoiler alert, it does. Especially in the digital age. Shedeur knows that his NFL journey isn't just about game tape. It's about narrative. It's about perception. And yes, it's about branding. Because let's be real, no matter how talented you are, if you're not building a public image, you're losing ground. And here's where it gets even spicier. Shedeur's entire approach is working. That's the part that really drives critics nuts. He's already got one of the biggest followings of any college to pro prospect. He's trending constantly. He's got major brands circling. He's being talked about more than players who've actually started NFL games. And that visibility? That matters. Because in today's league, charisma is currency. Still, the second he talks like he knows it, people freak out. He's cocky. He hasn't earned it. He needs to be humbled. But the truth? This is humility on his own terms. It's not fake modesty for the cameras. It's doing the work and being proud of it. It's not arrogance when you're putting in the hours and documenting it. This whole controversy also shines a harsh light on the NFL's double standard. Players are constantly told to be marketable, build their brand, engage with fans. But the moment they actually do it without the league's supervision, suddenly it's a problem. So let's call it what it is. Control dressed up as culture. The NFL wants to benefit from players like Shedeur, but only as long as they can shape how that benefit looks. The second a player takes ownership of their own story, it becomes selfish, or immature, or in Rex Ryan's case, lazy. And the hypocrisy is exhausting. Take the veterans who do play the media game but within the approved mold. They're celebrated. They're on every network. They're the face of campaigns. But guys who step outside that line, who speak up, show personality, and don't bend to the media narrative, they get dragged. It's the same tired pattern, over and over. Yet what makes Shedeur different is that he's not trying to be the safe choice. He's not tailoring his image to fit the NFL's comfort zone. He's shaping the NFL around his vision. And that's why this controversy is so much bigger than one bad take. It's a fault line in the league's foundation. So where do we go from here? Does the NFL embrace this new wave of authentic, self-branded athletes? Or does it keep clinging to its old-school ideals of controlled messaging and forced humility? Because here's the truth, the fans have already chosen. They want players like Shedeur. They want personality. They want access. They want someone who's not afraid to say, "Yeah, I'm that guy," and mean it. This isn't just a media cycle. It's a cultural shift. One where players aren't just athletes, they're CEOs of their own brands. And the ones who adapt to that will thrive. Meanwhile, people like Rex Ryan will keep barking from the sidelines, clinging to a version of the league that no longer exists. And that might be the most poetic part of this whole saga. While Rex is out here trying to humble a player who's already outworking him, Shedeur is quietly stacking receipts, building leverage, and preparing to make the critics eat their words again. Because let's be clear, this is only the beginning. Shedeur's going to keep making noise. Not because he needs the attention, but because he's smart enough to know how to use it. And when the spotlight finds him again, and it won't be because of fake controversies. It'll be because he showed up, showed out, and proved once again that confidence and competence can coexist. So the next time someone says he's all flash, just point them to the footage. The real receipts. The ones that show a young star doing everything right, and still getting dragged for doing it his way. At the end of the day, Shedeur Sanders isn't just challenging the league, he's redefining what it means to earn respect. Not by begging for it, not by shrinking himself, but by stepping up, showing up, and refusing to back down. And if that shakes up the old-school status quo, well, maybe it needed shaking. Let's not pretend Rex Ryan was just casually critiquing Shedeur's game. This wasn't about stats or decision-making or mechanics. This was character assassination, plain and simple. He's lazy. He's an embarrassment. Those are fighting words. That's not criticism, that's slander. And when you make those kinds of claims without evidence, you better pray no one's rolling tape. But the tape was rolling. And when it dropped, it lit Ryan's entire argument on fire. There was Shedeur, locked in, respectful, learning, sitting right there in the front row like he wanted the responsibility. Like he knew exactly what kind of microscope he'd be under and chose to lean in anyway. That's not laziness. That's leadership. That's presence. And what did Rex Ryan have to say for himself after that? Crickets. No retraction. No accountability. Just silence. Because when your whole identity is built on being the loudest voice in the room, admitting you were wrong isn't part of the brand. But here's the real kicker. The league knows what Shedeur represents. They're not clueless. In fact, they're quietly terrified of it. Because players like him, media-savvy, brand-conscious, and unafraid to speak on their own terms, don't need the traditional NFL gatekeepers. They come in with leverage. And that's something the old heads don't know how to handle. This is about control. The NFL for decades has had a very clear formula. You come in, you shut up, you prove yourself quietly, and then, maybe you get to talk. But Shedeur skipped the line. Not because he didn't earn it, but because he saw the line for what it was. Outdated. You don't need to wait for ESPN to crown you anymore. You can build your platform while you play. And Shedeur's doing exactly that. His confidence? Calculated. His media presence? Intentional. His boldness? Inherited. From a Hall of Fame father who built an empire off authenticity and unapologetic swagger. And yet, for all that strategic thinking, all that behind-the-scenes effort, all that groundwork, he still gets slapped with the lazy label by someone who couldn't even be bothered to check the facts. It's exhausting. And more than that, it's revealing. Because when a young black quarterback walks into the league with his head high, his resume strong, and his voice louder than some are comfortable with, this is the reaction he gets. Not praise. Not support. But character assassination wrapped in tough love. And it's not new. This has happened over and over again. The moment a player refuses to play the humble, grateful, subservient role, the media and old guard figures like Rex Ryan start foaming at the mouth. It's like clockwork. Shedeur represents something they can't control. A player who knows his worth, who understands the game outside the white lines, and who refuses to apologize for it. That's dangerous to people who built their identities on policing the behavior of others. And let's not forget, This is a league that punishes individuality more than it punishes misconduct sometimes. You could have a spotless record, an insane work ethic, and community awards out the wazoo. But if you show up in designer shades and post-game chains, you're not serious. What even is that? It's coded. It's performative. And it's been the NFL's way of maintaining image control for decades. But Shedeur? He's not here for respectability politics. He's here to win on the field and off. So when someone like Rex Ryan comes swinging with baseless accusations, it's not just offensive. It's tactical. It's an attempt to knock him down a few pegs. To remind him that he's not there yet. That no matter how hard he works, how clean his record is, how strong his leadership shows up in the locker room, they still decide the narrative. Only this time they don't. Because Shedeur's platform is bigger than Rex Ryan's now. His reach is wider. His following is stronger. And he's got an army of fans, teammates, and receipts backing him up. That's the power shift happening right now. The NFL doesn't fully control the story anymore. The media doesn't get to invent character arcs without consequence. Social media changed the rules. Players can clap back instantly, show their side, and share the truth in real time. And guess what? The truth did come out. Those clips of Shedeur doing the work, putting in the hours, showing up with intention and discipline, they weren't just a defense. They were a warning. A warning to anyone who still thinks they can bully the new generation of athletes into silence. Because for every Shedeur Sanders, there are 10 more players watching, learning, taking notes, preparing to speak up when it's their turn. And that makes the gatekeepers nervous. They know their era is ending. Slowly but surely. This controversy isn't just about one bad take. It's about who gets to shape the image of success in the NFL. And Shedeur? He's not waiting around to be molded. He's showing up fully formed and unapologetically himself. He's not going to shrink to make other people comfortable. He's not going to tone down his confidence because someone on a panel thinks he should act more professional. And he definitely isn't going to let someone lie about his work ethic just because it fits a familiar script. No. He's rewriting that script, publicly, confidently, and on his own terms. And if the league's uncomfortable with that, good. Because it means change is working. So where do we go from here? We pay attention. We watch who gets targeted. We question the narratives. And we stop pretending that confidence is a threat to greatness. Because if the NFL wants to evolve, it has to let go of this obsession with humility as the only currency. Humility is great, but it doesn't mean silence. And it definitely doesn't mean erasing your identity to make room for outdated expectations. So here's the deal. Shedeur Sanders isn't going anywhere. The spotlight's only going to get brighter. And the next time someone tries to write him off, they'd better come with more than just vibes and venom. Because the receipts? They're rolling 24/7 now. And the new era? Is louder, smarter, and a whole lot harder to control. So let the gatekeepers keep yelling. Let the Rex Ryans of the world keep throwing tantrums from the sidelines. Meanwhile, Shedeur's walking into the league with his head high, game tight, and legacy already in motion. And honestly, we love to see it. If you're here for this kind of drama, truth-telling, and unfiltered breakdowns of football's biggest meltdowns, hit that subscribe. Drop a comment below. Was Rex just out of line, or is this exactly the kind of clash the league needs to grow? Either way, stay loud, stay real, and keep those receipts handy. Because in this league, the truth always leaks.